away, ay, 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 ay. Away up, ay, 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 ay. Away, ay, 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 away, ay, 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 ay.
Hi everyone, welcome to The Bridge. I'm your host Kira Young, and you've reached me on Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. I'm also simulcasting tonight with Real Liberty Media, so check them out. And this is my first show back home. My last show was on the road back home from Standing Rock, and the one before that was on the road there. So we had some pretty interesting experiences while in Standing Rock, and we were going to stuck in a teepee somewhere in Oceti Sakowin camp, and so I'm going to have to wing this show. Just gonna have to wing it, which is fine. So anybody have any questions for me, feel free to call in the studio and I'll get you on the air and I'll take your questions. But in the meantime, I will just, let you know what I know so far. But first of all, as far as the work I did while I was out there, it was extremely challenging conditions. No cell phone, no internet, no nothing. And the casino used to be a place where you could go and charge your cell phone and get some Wi-Fi and charge your laptop. But what they did all along the bottom floor, this is the Prairie Knights Casino, which is the closest anything to the camps. It's a hotel and a casino right there on the reservation. So they blocked up all the outlets, so people can't just hang out in the lobby or in the buffet or anything like that and just charge up and do their thing. And what most people do, most independent media, they go and stay in the camps, and then they go to the hotel for Wi-Fi and electricity. So they made that impossible. And what people also do in the camps is get together, and once, one person will get a room and 10 people will take a shower there, that kind of thing. And so they started only giving 2 towels per room, and it didn't seem to matter even if you had, even if there were 2 or 3 or maybe 4 people sleeping in there, and that's what you paid for, they're still going to give you 2 towels. So they were being real shitty about it. I guess it's time for people to go home. I don't know. But there's still people there, and they're still fighting the good fight. According to many sources, construction is stopped, but yet if you go there, you can actually see there's still construction going on. So, that's a weird thing right there. What's really going on? The company has said that they're determined to go ahead. This is Energy Transfer Partners. That they are determined to go ahead and just drill right under the Missouri River, even though the Army Corps of Engineers will not give them the permits to do that. And the Army Corps of Engineers has issued a statement saying that they will have to consult properly with the Standing Rock Sioux tribe. So, dun dun dun. It is costing them a lot of money to do this. Let's see, I'm getting some prayers, everybody. So, getting back to the challenging conditions, I was able to do a few interviews, but what I did was I recorded them with Audacity while in camp. So if you go on my blog, which is called Psychopaths in Charge, because that is the reason for any problem that you look at going on in the world right now. It's because narcissists and psychopaths are running the show, and they always fuck things up because their interest is not what most normal humans' interest would be, and that would be, everybody's happy, everybody gets fed, They just want everything all to themselves. And having most of it is not enough. They want it all. And so it's perfectly, it's perfectly acceptable to kill everything in your path in order to make a profit. But somehow it's illegal to try to stop that. So that's what's going on at Standing Rock. So if you go on to my, pardon my language, if you go onto my website, my blog, it's called Psychopaths in Charge. It's at www.kyoung4.wordpress.com. I have a piece up there called Paradigm Shifters, Badass Lakota on the Front Lines for Water Justice. And it contains 3 interviews with 3 Lakota people from different Lakota Tioshpaye, and that means larger extended family. They're from 3 different reservations, and they're now currently living in Oceti Sakowin camp, which is the camp that's located on the Army Corps of Engineer land just outside the Standing Rock Reservation boundary. The other camps are within the Standing Rock Reservation boundary. That would be Sacred Stone Camp, which is the original camp where everything started. And then you also have, in between Oceti Sakowin and Sacred Stone, is right along the other side of the river is a camp that is called either Rosebud or Sekongu Camp, which contains the youth council and a bunch of other people. So you can check out those 3 interviews with Candice Duchenu, who is a Cheyenne River Lakota elder, very respected, has been working for water justice for a long time. She's very knowledgeable. She knows the science behind what she's talking about in terms of the broken water cycle and her goal of healing that broken water cycle and achieving water justice and water sovereignty. So, and she has a plan to do it. So please listen to that interview. Then I have an interview with Stephanie Mesteth, who is an Oglala Lakota from Pine Ridge. And it was actually her teepee that I stayed in, but she's allowing Uŋpa Nuŋpa and Zephyr to use it. And it was her family who, among many others, who actually founded the Oceti Sakowin camp. When in Sacred Stone, they were camping in Sacred Stone, and they put the call out for support. And Lakotas started responding, we're coming 300, 400 strong. And so then they had to get this camp ready. So they went ahead and put it on the Army Corps of Engineer land. So, Connor, you can play Pokemon if you like, but just let me know if you get any messages, okay? You can play Pokemon if you want. Just let me know if you get messages. Yeah, my son comes with me to do the show. So, and then the last interview in that series, the Paradigm Shifters series that I did, was with Lewis Grassrope. And Lewis is a headsman. He's a sun dancer, respected person who is one of the people who's putting together the more traditional form of government in Oceti Sakowin camp. Yeah, absolutely. I will add Grimner so he can ask me some questions here. And then the other thing that I did, which is just out on YouTube right now, is I interviewed Unicorn Riot. And Unicorn Riot is the independent media team that's been on the ground from the very beginning, capturing the best footage of No Dabble. So check that out. You just go into YouTube and type in Kira Young or The Bridge with Kira, and you'll find it. The Unicorn Riot. So I did that on my last night there. Anyway, I'm welcoming Grimner Freeman onto the bridge. He wants to ask a few questions. He is from Real Liberty Media. Hi, Grimner.
Hi, Kira. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm glad to hear you back home safe. Anyway, I've been hearing some conflicting stories about the people behind the Dakota pipeline, the North Dakota pipeline there, on the radio and on the internet and stuff. Anyway, the first story I heard was the people came out, the construction, whoever they are, and said, we're not going to reroute the pipeline no matter what. Had you heard that?
Yeah, I mean, I'd heard that they had said they're pretty determined just to do what they want to do, and that they're pretty pissed off that they can't. They're pissed off at the Army Corps of Engineers, and they're pissed off at the federal government right now. They're pissed off because, well, law enforcement is pissed off at the federal government for not paying for their war against natives, and then the company is pissed off at the Army Corps of Engineers, and hence the federal government, for not granting the easement to them to drill underneath the river.
Right.
And for and for even suggesting that it be rerouted as well. They're pretty pissed off about that.
That was part of the other part that I heard was that in North Dakota, the only part left to do was to go under the river. And then I've also read where Iowa and Illinois, they're basically like 95% done, and there's just like tiny little sections left for them to do.
Yeah, I mean, they're still building. They're still building around the reservation, and they're still building all along the whole pipeline. And so it definitely hasn't been halted. The only areas that are halted are the areas that are near the water. So, but they're still just, steamrolling through sacred sites and burial grounds and wherever they want to go. All along, not just in the Dakotas, but along the entire pipeline. So.
Yeah, the other question I had was about the fracking operations, because I haven't heard much about those in the whole thing there. Everybody's trying to stop the pipeline, which is great. It needs to be stopped. It needs to be shut down before it gets started. But they have all those fracking operations going on up at the head, right?
Right.
And I'm not hearing much about people going after those, which seem to be the route right there, right? Because if they don't have that, there's nothing to put through the pipe.
Correct, yeah. And the thing about it is that it's totally not sustainable at all. So the amount of energy that it takes to frack that oil is less than the energy that oil gives. So the only way they can really keep doing that is by, government giving them subsidizing their industry. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense on any level at all. Guess what? Zephyr is available, so I'm going to try to contact her.
I'll hop off here. I just had those couple questions anyway, so.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, talk soon.
Yep.
Bye. All right, so we're going to add Zephyr. Cool. Yay. And Uŋpa is there too. So yay, they're not snowed into a teepee. This is good. This is good news.
Hello.
Hey, welcome to the bridge. Hi.
Hey, Kira.
I'm glad that I thought you might be snowed into a teepee because I got a text from Linda that the snow was really deep when she left, but it was getting bad when she left. So how are you guys doing?
When she left?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, we have no snow at Oceti Sakowin. We had a brief flurry yesterday, but weathermen gratefully was wrong again with their forecast.
Wow.
We have a cool day here, not necessarily cold, slight breeze, but no, we avoided all the snow altogether.
That is wonderful. That is good news. I'm glad to hear that.
It was a big relief in camp. We woke up to frost everywhere. It did get down into the teens Fahrenheit last night, so it was chilly, but we survived, and it was a new experience for a lot of people. It's funny to see them who haven't been in winter conditions before, and we have a young woman staying with us from California, and she was marveling at the ice crystals and all of the frost, and she had never touched them before. It was like watching a little kid.
Wow. It is beautiful. Yeah. It is quite something for the first time, for sure. Yeah, so I was winging it. I didn't think I would be able to get in touch with you guys. This is wonderful.
Well, I'll tell you, our days have been busy here, Zephyr and mine, as I'm sure at least a few of your listeners are aware. We were arrested on October 27th and charged with a felony count, a Class C felony of conspiracy to endanger by fire. Everyone arrested on October 27th was charged with that felony. And then we were also charged with maintaining a public nuisance and engaging in a riot, which are misdemeanor charges. Zephyr was busy earlier meeting with the legal team about that. I had met with them yesterday. A class action lawsuit is being planned right now, and preparations for filing that lawsuit are underway now. Tomorrow there is a camp-wide meeting for everyone who has been arrested to this date. Tomorrow at 11 a.m. at Oceti Sakowin, and we will be filled in on details then. We did learn that on Friday, 11 people who were arrested on October 27th when they cleared out the treaty camp or no surrender camp, whatever name you choose to call it tonight. When that happened, 11 people had their court appearances on Friday, and the judge in Morton County dismissed all the felony charges against those 11 people. We are very hopeful that this is a harbinger of things to come.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you were included in that group or not, so I'm glad you clarified that you haven't been let off the hook yet, but it looks good.
No, my preliminary hearing isn't scheduled until December 5th. Okay. And Zephyr's is on the same day, and I've talked to numerous people. That is the date for their preliminary hearing. Now, the state was required to provide evidence to the court of the conspiracy charges last week. Evidently, they did this to the judge's satisfaction. I was back on the Cheyenne River Reservation where I maintain my permanent residence in a community called Swiftbird, and I did receive in the mail from Morton County that they are proceeding with the charges against us. And I did also learn that I was denied a public defender, legal counsel, by Morton County. I am still efforting to find out why I was denied that legal counsel. I do receive federal disability. I do receive other assistance because I do have my 5-year-old grandson in the home with me. And I am fairly certain that I'm just going to have to provide documentation to get a public defender. But for now, we do not have legal representation, but we are working with the legal team, and they have done tremendous work. I'd like to thank the legal team at work now. I believe they've changed their name from Red Owl Legal Defense Fund to Water Protectors Legal Defense Fund. They are a small but growing group of volunteers doing this pro bono. They are entrusted with the legal care to over 5,000 people here in camp, and more than 500 of whom have been arrested. So any support that listeners would like to lend, if you could get in contact with the Water Protectors Legal Defense Fund, any help would be appreciated.
Yeah, so they're on Facebook. I know that they were as Red Owl, and I'm sure that they have the same pages, but they just changed the name. And they were very responsive to me when I was worried when you guys got arrested too. So good group of people. Even if there's lawyers out there who want to help, I'm sure they could use a few more lawyers on their team helping out. It's a lot of... Absolutely.
We're talking about over 500 people, different cases, each with multiple charges that they are having to sort through. It's a monumental task right now. They are doing the best they can. When you go up to the legal tent, you are greeted warmly, you're offered things to drink, eat if you're hungry, and they sit down with you and explain things in very plain English. and let you know what you need to do, where you're at in this stage of the process. It's incredible to be able to go to the actions and know that you have that type of network of support behind you.
Yeah.
It fills you with a great sense of pride. It fills you with confidence that, you know, the work you are doing is important, is meaningful, and if you do end up getting arrested for it, somebody does have your back and will have your back until you're cleared of what is increasingly amounting to thousands of false charges being filed against people by the prosecutors in the state of North Dakota.
Well, I don't know if you probably didn't get a chance to see this in camp, but Morton County had another press conference where they had the governor with them and several other douchebags that paraded around and congratulated each other. And the governor is on a first name basis with the sheriff of Morton County. He calls him Kyle. And but anyway, they were moaning and bitching that they weren't getting money from the feds, and they're really pissed at the Army Corps of Engineers at this point for not allowing them to kick you guys off. So, well,
I was quite encouraged to read or learn when I went to meet with the legal department yesterday on Facebook Hill in Oceti Sakowin, that I saw a message where the Justice Department has made it very clear to DAPL that if they begin drilling underneath the Missouri River, U.S. Marshals will shut them down.
Wow.
And that was the first I had heard of anything of that nature, because one of my personal concerns is that DAPL has already disregarded, honorably made requests of them to stop work. They obviously are going to finish this pipeline no matter what they are told. I think they will do it extrajudicially, extra-legally if they have to. And I was concerned about them just going ahead and proceeding with the drilling. If this is true, what I was told at the legal tent yesterday, it is very good news for all of us. As the Corps of Engineers, the Department of the Interior, and the Department of Justice sort through the easements and whether or not to grant these applications, while at the same time we learned they have reached out to the Standing Rock Sioux tribe to involve them in this process. And so if these processes proceed the way they are going, then, the longer we hold them off, the better. Every day that they are not drilling is a day that they are not drilling.
Right.
And I am still very hopeful that this president will step forth and find a way legally to shut down this pipeline once and for all. But it is still, the situation is still fluid. The information we get is still changing from day to day. Rumors do not have quite the hold they did over camp, but they still do hold sway with too many people. That is the reason why it is important people reach out to shows like yours, Carrier, in particular your show, The Bridge, for what is actually happening in Oceti Sakowin, what are the occurrences and events outside of Oceti Sakowin that are affecting us in a real way, in a direct way, and telling people the truth and sorting through the rumors. So I will encourage people to continue listening to your show for accurate information about what is happening in North Dakota, and to rely on other sources that are out there that have proven themselves to be reliable.
Yeah, other people have, fallen for false information, but they correct it as soon as they find out. So at least there's that. But yeah, there's quite a few things. The biggest one right now is the woman saying that she saw them spraying something out of an airplane over to camp. And that's been going viral around. It was sent to me, I don't know how many times. So I don't know what to make of that.
I can speaking to that directly, Kira, I can tell you I had heard talk. I was home, as I know you were aware, for 4 days. I developed a respiratory bug. I became sick. Respiratory bugs are now rampant throughout the camp. Zephyr is recuperating from one right now. We have other people in camp who have. And when I returned to camp after being gone for 4 days recuperating, I was told by people whose word I trust absolutely that they themselves bore witness to this plane flying in the dark in the wee hours with no lights on, spraying something, and it wasn't from crop duster nozzles attached to the plane. There was something else being ejected from this plane over the camp. I am not one to buy into conspiracy theories. I never have been, and I hopefully never will be. I like to give critical thought to stuff. I like to see evidence. But hearing this eyewitness testimony from people who I know and trust, there is something happening, and it would be absolutely necessary at this point, I feel, for the tribes to demand of North Dakota who is flying that plane and what is the purpose of it, particularly with no lights on in the wee hours right above our camp. Somebody has some serious explaining to do. That is why I continue to call one of the ways the Obama administration can help us is to order a federal investigation into the conduct of North Dakota authorities throughout the entirety of this conflict, but particularly in the past month, where we have seen them behave extrajudicially, where we have seen them use excessive force, excessive violence against our unarmed and prayerful people.
Yeah, and what I also heard was that Young Turks had reported that they admitted that they did spray something and that it was vegetable oil. Why? Why?
That's the first I have heard about.
Yeah.
And if they are spraying vegetable oil, then it goes to your question, Dakue, why are you doing this? Well, like I said, we need a federal investigation. We need, we still have a situation where the last Saturday, a resident of Mandan, North Dakota, an employee of some type of waste management company up there, fired 7 rounds off into the air from a 9mm, an event that has been well documented on social media, both in video, with photographs, and with eyewitness testimony, yet this man is still free. He has not been arrested after his act of terror, after his act of violence. This is what we are confronting here. This is the double standard that is in place.
And he ran over a woman's foot, too, with his truck.
See, I was even unaware of that part of the story.
Yeah, I saw that part too, and it's like he ran over her foot, and she's screaming, and fell down in pain. So probably broke her foot. So that's assault with a deadly weapon, called a vehicle. Yeah, but if you're white, you can do that kind of stuff. But if you're Native, praying is a riot.
Yeah, well, you certainly can in Morton County, North Dakota today.
Yeah.
And it was interesting watching. I saw an action on social media before I returned to camp a couple of days ago, where there was an action at the Army Corps of Engineers office up in Bismarck. And there was a counter demonstration of pro-DAPL, pro-police, local people on the corner across from where our group was. And to hear the different talk coming out of both groups, where as across the street you heard abuse and you heard aggressive language being used from our people who were doing the demonstration at the Army Corps of Engineer office, you heard nothing but pleas for peace, pleas for understanding, asking the police who were assembled before them, before the Corps of Engineer office, and asking the counter demonstrators across the street to join us. To begging them practically to understand that this is their fight too. None of us who were out there that they were 1%ers. Nobody. Yet this project is a threat to everybody who gets their drinking water from the Missouri River. If Bismarck thinks they're safe of it because they relocated the pipeline route that many miles south of them to where it's directly north of the Standing Rock tribe, they're wrong too. Oil has a way of spreading even against the current. And we are reaching out to the local people in as good a way as we can. But obviously, such as the gentleman who ran over the woman's foot and fired off a clip from a 9mm, we're not reaching enough people in a good way.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's really, really unfortunate to hear that. There was also some pretty serious violence going on as well. So the cops really, really laid into someone when they arrested him, and they our power was out.
notify that power has been restored.
Yay, our power's back on. Woo!
Good to hear.
Awesome. Maybe Majikia can get into the chat now. I'm sure he's trying to fire everything back up. Yeah, it's been extremely windy here, much like a normal day in North Dakota. So, oh, good. That's good. I was going to have to get ice and we just went shopping today for food. So, whew, okay, that's a relief. You heard it first.
Yep, breaking news.
Sorry, folks. But hey, it's live radio. Okay, so back at camp, you guys are furiously getting ready for anything.
Absolutely, we have to be prepared for anything. And I'll tell you, Carrie, the mood in camp is still good and strong.
Good.
But undeniably, since the events of October 22nd, when you had the police and authorities encircle, trap, and then victimize our people. And then on the 27th, when we saw militarized violence used against peaceful, prayerful protectors, the mood has darkened and become, the seriousness of what we're up against and what we're facing has finally visited most people. It was always this, fairly tangential thing for many people in camp, because going out to the actions, we'd have anywhere from 100 to 300 people, and that was far from the entire camp being out there. Mm-hmm. But when those actions happened on the 22nd and the 27th, and we saw the government response, we had 400 or 500 people out there, and many people were traumatized by the events of those days, and they have those stories with them now. They have those memories with them now. Mm-hmm. We talked about the historical trauma, the blood memory triggered by those events. I felt it myself for the first time in my life, genuinely, when I watched from a ridgeline as they encircled our people. It brought back memories of what they did to our people at Wounded Knee, mm-hmm. how they surrounded them and butchered them. And those are very real in camp now, those memories, and the realization that these people will stop at nothing. They are willing to kill us to complete this pipeline.
Yes.
They are willing to kill us to satisfy a contract that a private company made. The efforts on our people's part have only stepped up to a greater degree, and we have broadened our attack. We were very happy to learn of one of the major banks invested in DAPO, a bank that had a 10% share, I believe it was a Norwegian bank, pulled their financial support from the DAPO project. We are now cooperating with people who are attempting to approach a bank in Japan. I was told the name of it earlier. I apologize. I don't remember it. This is information I just learned this morning, that has $1 billion invested in DAPO. We are gathering testimony of human rights violations and abuses to present to their board of directors to hopefully persuade them in a good way to withdraw their support of this pipeline after the conduct of DAPL officials, after the conduct of the state of North Dakota.
Wow. That is wonderful. And from what I had read, it's Norway's biggest bank.
It is Norway, yes. Okay, yes. I'll tell you, Kira, I think I shared this with you. In the past couple of weeks, I've got to really thinking about the sustainability of Oceti Sakowin. And I don't think that remaining in this location is going to be something that is going to be really feasible to do. The Shiner-Sioux tribe has filed to reclaim the land that Oceti Sakowin is located on legally under the Treaty of 1868 and 1851. But given its location, it is fairly indefensible place. Right now, there is one highway, as you yourself saw, to get in and out of camp with. Already, just north of camp, within a short walk's distance, it is blockaded by the state of North Dakota and the National Guard. To our south is the Standing Rock Sioux tribe, who have been, at times, reluctant hosts, given some of the events that they don't agree with. They could blockade that road and enforce checkpoints at any time that they feel they need to. I don't think Oceti Sakowin at its current location is sustainable. I have been asking people to think about relocating the camp to a safer, more sustainable location. And I believe that location is the Black Hills in southwestern South Dakota. The Black Hills are the Lakota and Dakota people's ancestral homeland and birthplace. We regard it as the most sacred place on earth. We refer to it as the heart of everything that is. The Black Hills has multiple access points throughout it that we can take advantage of. We won't be held hostage to one highway and buffered by a river at that in our current location, a river that we have no control over. There are multiple roads in and out of the Black Hills. There are caverns in the Black Hills that our people used to be very familiar with and that I'm sure we can shortly reacquaint ourselves with. There is the natural forest itself to provide us protection from the nonstop low-elevation buzzing of planes and helicopters that you yourself got to experience at all hours of the day and night. And to reclaim the Black Hills as our ancestral homeland and our permanent homeland would be a meaningful statement. The Oceti Sakowin used to gather every winter in the Black Hills. The Black Hills were our winter home. We would not be lacking for firewood if we relocated to the Black Hills, Kira.
Wow.
You have heard the appeals go out for firewood consistently and then as needed, from this camp. We would no longer have to worry about firewood if Oceti Sakowin was located in the Black Hills. The power and the strength that I have heard many people, both indigenous and non-indigenous, speak to that they feel at our current location would only be magnified by times that I can't even begin to guess, given the power that our people know exists in the Black Hills. I don't know if people will support this idea. The handful that I have shared it with think it is a good idea and are willing to help to get people at least talking about the idea of going out there. I feel we are running out of time. We all know the results of the recent presidential election. That man takes office on January 20th. He is openly hostile to DAPL already. He supports DAPL. He's personally invested in it financially. He can terminate that lease at the minute he takes office on January 20th. That is the time frame I think that we are actually up against. We have about 2 calendar months to prepare for the absolute worst.
Right.
And I think it's absolutely critical that we begin to. And then again, relocating to the Black Hills, I think is common sense, it's smart, and something our ancestors would approve of and be most proud of, if not encourage us to do, to fight once again for our sacred Black Hills.
Oh, I think that's a fantastic idea. I really, really do. Yeah. I mean, what do you know whatever happened with the other PACE law campaign?
Oh, PACE law was purchased by the tribes. The state of South Dakota, the governor, Dennis Delgard, has resisted that land being turned into federal trust status. And they are waging that battle in court. So right now it is held as what's known as fee patent land under the ownership of the tribes. But we do have control of it, and the tribes are efforting to get that land put into federal trust status. But that is not the only location where member bands of the Oceti Sakowin have land in the hills. There are other locations that we can look at, and there are private landowners in the hills who are supportive of the Lakota's claim to the Black Hills. We can reach out to them. Like I said, this is all just in the past week or two where this talk has begun. I am going to continue to talk about this in the traditional men's councils that we have in Oceti Sakowin, and I'm going to be talking about it. As you know, I'm friends with and related to several of the women on the women's traditional councils. I've shared it with a couple of them, and they are most eager to get going on it.
Wow, great.
And, so but we need to take it careful. We need to take it slow, and we need to do it in the right way. And one of the most important things we need to do is to pray on it, to think about it, and to ceremony about it, and to get the wisdom, get the guidance that we need to do this all, so that we have as few difficulties as possible in making the move if it should happen.
Wow, I mean, the possibilities are pretty endless with that, really, because whenever I've heard you talk about the bigger picture here in terms of this no DAPL movement, is that you've always wanted to use it as a springboard for healing all of the other issues that need to be dealt with and healed, and especially the treaty issue and the land claim issue and the right to live in true sovereignty. So not this paper sovereignty that we're always caught up in when we're, fighting with the federal government, the tribes, and the state. And I was thinking about the state. They may actually, North Dakota and South Dakota even may actually not be happy about the federal emergency management law now, where the tribes can directly request assistance. They may not be happy that the tribes no longer have to go through them, and that the federal government has moved under Obama to a more direct government-to-government relationship and cut the states out of that picture. So there may be some, sort of right-wing butthurt over that.
Well, Kira, you hit the nail on the head earlier, though, when you said, paper sovereignty. Mm-hmm. That is all we have ever had since full colonization and the reservation periods began. Right now, today, any decision of a tribal council is subject to review and indeed rejection by not the President of the United States, but one of his cabinet officials, the Secretary of the Interior. The Department of the Interior is the cabinet department under which the Bureau of Indian Affairs derives their direction and funding. Any tribal council action can be negated by the Secretary of the Interior. That is the definition of not being sovereign. Yet our people continue to claim that we're sovereign, but we're really not. And one thing that has been said ever since I was a young boy was that you're only as sovereign as you act. And hopefully Oceti Sakowin will embolden tribes to act more sovereign, to behave in a more sovereign manner, to take responsibility over aspects of governance of our people that we have allowed the Bureau to maintain, the Bureau of Indian Affairs to maintain over us. We just need to be more assertive with our sovereignty. If it ends up as a legal challenge, then we'll fight them there again. Even though we have little chance of winning, we'll still fight them. We'll fight them on all fronts until we are a truly free people once again. The beauty of Oceti Sakowin is the freedom, or one of the beauties of it is the freedom that we do enjoy down there. I've talked several times on your program and with others about the lack of police, the lack of jails, the lack of patrol cruisers up and down the street with searchlights, and when our own private, not our own security that we have here in camp gets to acting a little bit too much like police, I speak up about it, and others do as well. We do not need our vehicles searched by anybody. That is the way the oppressor treats us. Mm-hmm. We are not going to treat our own people that way. We should realize there is no longer a need for that. That people, unless they are infringing on the peaceful right of others to exist, should be left to their own ways. And then that is the spirit of Oceti Sakowin. That's the way it has been. When there's been problems, they've been talked about. And the councils have been convened, and they've been dealt with in as good a way as possible. That is what we need to get back to. And that is what I know I'm going to spend the rest of my life working towards. I feel our people, the indigenous people of the United States, have got some own work to do on ourselves before we're able to stand truly strong. Those things have begun addressed in Oceti Sakowin. We are a physically sick people. Diabetes is rampant. Heart disease is rampant. Cancer is rampant. There are environmental and lifestyle factors for these rates of disease that we have that we need to address. Our diet is very poor, as you often talk about on your show, and as you and your husband have done a very good job of bringing awareness to the issue of food sovereignty for our people. We need to begin addressing that. We need to begin addressing in a meaningful way alcoholism among our people. I can tell you on Cheyenne River, it's our number one enemy. And after spending significant time on Standing Rock, I see that it is still their number one enemy. Mm-hmm. We have to begin those type of issues, become a stronger people so that we can fight these battles for sovereignty, so that we can fight these battles for land reclamation and recognition of treaty rights. We have to make ourselves much healthier, not just in the body, but also with our spirits. And Oceti Sakowin has been a spiritual awakening among our people. hundreds, if not thousands by now, have been exposed to our traditional ways, the ways of our ancestors, in ceremonies, in prayers for the first time in their lives by coming to this camp. We need to get rid of this Christian influence over our spirits and over our minds. That has begun at Oceti Sakowin. And finally, the last part is our minds. We need to stop thinking colonially, and we need to start thinking as Lakota people. Lakotia Iyukchampo. Think Lakota, or whatever nation you might come from. Learn about the ways of your ancestors and learn how they would deal with the modern problems that we face today. How would they address them? How would they think about them? How would they counsel us? All of these are underway now in the middle of nowhere, North Dakota. And that is why I still encourage people who have not yet come while it's still here. Come while you still have the opportunity to. And you will be welcomed. And if you do not have proper winter gear, you will be helped out. If you do not have food, you will be helped out. If you do not have shelter, you will be helped out. As we are speaking today, longhouses are being built, teepees are being erected, wood stoves are being distributed throughout camp. We are settling in for winter resistance, and it's active right now and will continue to be. If you feel the call to come to this camp, please come to this camp. Please.
Yeah, please come. And I would say that, my experience was a very, very good one. And, for those wanting to come, you should have a contact in camp, that's going to be there when you get there, instead of just sort of showing up and never really being able to hook in the way. You have to know somebody there or at least contact someone and say, I'm coming, and hook in, because I know I've seen some people online where they go and they never kind of really hook in. And that's unfortunate to see. And it's just about different ways of doing things, I think.
Well, Kara, I think you are a perfect example of how to go about it. You were hooked in. You did know several people before you came to camp, and you came well provisioned, and you came with prayers. You came with a great mental attitude, and you and your son both. I mean, your arrival in camp was nothing but happy, happy, joy, joy.
That's it was great.
You brought healing energy to the camp. Our camp in particular is in Kalauzaha and Rion camp. And, if everyone came in the way that you and your son did, something magical would be occurring. And, if people could, you're quite instructive, if people could learn from the way you did it, that is one of the proper ways of doing it. And we're most proud of you and most grateful for you and Connor being in our camp for the time that you were able to be.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm honored to have been able to do it, and I'm very thankful to those who contributed to the gas fund, and we did it. It was like, wow.
Yeah, I know.
First thing my mom said to me was, "I'm so proud of you," when I returned to the East. And,
Ashtelo, that's really good. I'm proud of you too. Well, that's a lot of that derives from people have expressed, I want to be there, I'll go there, but they don't really put it into action. You did. You walk the talk. You talk the talk, and then you walk the talk. And if more people are able to do that, if more people will understand the gravity of the situation here, what we're up against, you saw with your own eyes government and corporation and their unholy union in this country being used to oppress people in prayer. You saw that. You saw them use the United States Army, the greatest military power the world has ever seen, against prayerful protesters. People in prayer in sweat lodges taken from the sweat lodge and placed under arrest. A white-haired grandmother holding a sacred chanupa, a sacred pipe in arms, the pipe taken from her, she placed under arrest. What is happening in North Dakota?
Yeah.
How can that not shock your conscience into action? How can, if you're not able to make the trip out here and lend direct support the way you and your family were able to, Kira, how can you not pick up the phone and offer some support in some meaningful way? Whether it's a financial donation, whether it's calling the governor's office or the president, call the White House directly and demand that this tyranny that reigns in Morton County and throughout North Dakota actually come to an end. This martial law, de facto martial law that is in place, where cars that they suspect to bring in supplies to camp are being pulled over and searched. This has to end, and they have to be held accountable for their actions. They must. That is going to take people making it happen. That is going to be your listeners who are outraged at the treatment that peaceful, prayerful protectors have received. Get on the phones. Get on social media. Start demanding action. Start demanding justice. If you want to help us, that is one way you can do it without actually being in camp.
Yep. And we do need our people outside of camp to be, because we're really cut off from the world when we're at camp. There's no cell phone, There's no internet. So we do need people out there doing that work. And like you have suggested before, adopt a family in camp that you've seen, maybe made friends with on social media, and you've seen their, adopt them, support them if you can't go yourself. And if you do go, bring supplies, bring what you can to offer. Best Connor quote from camp was, I brought a leg of lamb from my mom's flock, and Zephyr made the most awesome soup with it. And Connor said that Zephyr's soup smelled so good it should be made into a scented candle.
Yes, he did. Of all the several Connorisms, and that was the best of them. I really enjoyed that. And that stew that Zephyr made was good for a couple of days, and it was so delicious. And he nailed he nailed it right on the head when he said it should be a scented candle. I know I'd want it in my lodge.
For sure, yeah. And she does have a gift with soup, that's for sure. Made over a fire.
Zephyr is a multi-gifted threat, and to have her by my side, I could have no prouder or fiercer warrior to want to have my back than her. It's just been a real experience. She and I have stood together at all the actions that we were able to go to together, she even stood by me when we got arrested. We were side by side. We got arrested together, like we promised we would. So.
Back in a few minutes.
With Zephyr.
Okay. Welcome back to the second hour of The Bridge with Kira. And I'm here now with Zephyr. Hi, Zephyr.
Hi. It's
Yay!
so good to hear your voice. Thanks for having me back.
Sure thing. So, as you predicted, I did get the camp cough.
It's a badge of honor. It means you have actually been to Oceti Sakowin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I blame it on the sleep deprivation because normally I don't get sick. That's what I blame it on.
There's so much out here between the constant surveillance, between the chemtrails or whatever they've been spraying, between a million fires at night. There's a lot of reasons. There's a lot of things to struggle with.
Yeah.
Out here, even for those that are in the best of health and for those of us that struggle, it is even more of a challenge.
It is. But, we walk that half mile to the bathroom with pride.
Absolutely, every time. And you're so grateful when hypothermia doesn't set in on the way back.
That's why when we met Patricia Arquette and she said she was building latrines, we were like, you are a goddess. Please
pretty much wanted to kiss her right then and there. Not even going to lie about it. Like, it didn't even have to be Patricia Arquette. Whoever said bathroom for camp, right? Just right on the kisser. There you go.
There's a shortage. There is indeed.
There is. There is a need.
And the camp is massive. You guys, any day it can be, there's 4 people camping here. And then you wake up in the morning and there's 10 people camping there. And then the next day you wake up and there's 20 people camping there right in the same spot. Or it's always changing. Never the same.
It's a beautiful evolution. It grows. I say that it can't breathe, and sometimes it exhales and sometimes it inhales very fully. And it's a beautiful, beautiful sight to see.
Mm-hmm. So have you had a snafu with being able to set up a teepee for the Uŋpa camp?
It's been a week. I was very grateful to be welcoming my canoe family, the Bayou Woven canoe family from Tonga Territories out in L.A. So a group came up from the Bay Area to support me, and I've done so much work to get so many goodness, including a teepee for the Uŋpa camp. And unfortunately, because as you saw, the camp had grown so much in my directions to them, they couldn't find me. They needed to put it up. They were able to find the Leon camp on the Rosebud side, on the south side of the river, and so they set up there. And it was gifted to the young one who was born, Minnie Wachoni, who was born out here. And, you know, I can't gainsay that, so it feels good that the family is supporting her and her mama and the family being out here for the winter. It feels right and good, but at the same time, I am still lacking in the teepee. I will say that so many people, I kind of had a bit of a meltdown. I was sick. I had a little bit of a medical emergency this week, and I was just really feeling demoralized. And I took a break to go up to Bismarck to be in a hotel and to be a little closer to emergency medical services if they should become necessary. And I have to say, so many people all across the country just stepped forward and how can I help and just tell me what to do. Unfortunately, I was a little too sick to know what those steps were, but I will give a shout out to the Two Spirit Nation camp in Canada Springs Plenty. She instantly messaged me and said, I got you, you know, you need a warm place. We're going to work it out. So that is in the works right now. So
Awesome.
It is very much, I'm crossing everything, fingers and toes and eyes and wires in the head and anything else that by the end of this weekend, Uŋpa might have its first official teepee in Lodge to welcome folks. We're getting ready to welcome intergenerational contingency of about 20 people from Chicago coming up with another of the Uŋpa camp members. So really looking forward to that. Really was hoping to have a warm place where people could gather and just talk and visit and, you know, get the lowdown for the day and not have to be having households outside in the wind and the flurries that we've been having out here. So looking forward to it and just also, really, I have to share how proud I am of our healers and the medics at camp. I did have a bout of acute abdominal pain, and I ended up, after hours, carrying myself in to see someone, and instantly the umbrella just went and got a medic. The medic went and got the physician assistant on call, brought in the midwife because it seemed to be a feminine issue. And even a puppy dog that nobody knows whose dog it was came up, and a medicine man also sat, and they all offered what they could offer. They were right on it, getting the pain managed, trying to figure out, you know, what was necessary, giving me advice how to proceed, giving a write down for if I did go into the ER, so that there would be a list of symptoms and their triage, their vitals. So they really hooked it up so I could advocate for myself, or, you know, whoever went with me could be my medical advocate. So they just really, you know, treated it with all the respect. You know, they were respectful of my pronouns. I am two-thirds identified, so I do use they pronouns. They instantly respected that. I have not had better care anywhere in big cities or small communities across Turtle Island. They're just a wonderful group of people that are out here to try to keep us upright and, you know, share that good medicine. So I really, really, really want to thank them and hands lifted to all that come out as our healers out here. There's a lot to be healed. They just started an emotional well-being EP so that folks who are really experiencing a lot of the trauma, the ongoing traumas here, the ongoing incursions of safety and security and violations of our basic human rights, they have a space to really work through that so that we don't bring the trauma back to our communities. So it's just a really wonderful group of folk here. You know, if folks are thinking of ways to support, if you're a healer, they always need help. If you're a deep listener or a therapist, they always need help. If you're a body worker, there's always people here that need help. A lot of us out here on the front lines are suffering from chronic illness or chronic injury or chronic pain. So, you know, however you want to plug in. And for all those medicine makers, I got a lot of care packages and gifts from folks this week, and a lot of it was medicine, healing balm, stuff for the sinus infection, stuff for pain. You know, it really is taking all of our communities coming together. And so I just want to say thank you to everyone who has sent support, who has shared a kind word, who offers up prayers. We're out here and we're upright because it is all of us pulling together in this canoe called life.
Indeed, and I'm happy to hear that. I'm glad I didn't have to go to see the medics while I was there. But I'm really happy. Every story I've heard about people's experience in the medic tent has been a good one. Not that they were in the fact that they had to go, but the fact that the people there were so kind and caring and really just there to help out. So definitely.
A lot of my community members back home keep saying, come back, you're sick, come back, you're ill, come back, this and that. And I'm like, I'm getting the best care out here. I'm getting better care out here than I would go to my doctor back home. So why would I leave? Why would I go? So you're correct. We have some amazing people out here, and I've yet to hear a negative story. They really are trying to do their best under also occupation circumstances. They're also sleep deprived. They're also working with limited resources, and they're doing amazing things.
So people that make alternative medicines, tinctures, things like that, herbal medications.
Tinctures, oils, balms, rubs. Even I got delivered a whole bunch of dry herbs to use as a soak or a tea. All those things are important. All those things are keeping us well, and all those things are helping to keep our movement strong and moving forward in a good way.
Yeah. I made some medicines with coconut oil and things that I brought with me, and it was definitely needed. People really, really needed that medicine that I brought, so I was happy to be able to bring it. And
you were a breath of healing air that we all inhale deeply, and we're grateful for. So thank you for that.
Thank you, and I miss you so much.
You're very missed.
I want to come back.
You're so missed. Yes, come back. We missed you already. We missed you before your taillights were down the road. Good.
Oh man. Well, we'll try to do it, and this would be wonderful if it was meet you in the Black Hills.
The resistance continues. There's still a lot of things to resist, and I will voice here publicly that I also support a permanent resistance camp. The Black Hills have been put up for sale. The tribes have constantly said no, they're sacred, they're not for sale. It is both, a spiritually powerful place and also symbolically a very powerful place of resistance and existence as resistance for so many generations now, that I feel that it is an next step. Even regardless of the pipeline, there are still treaty rights. There is still so much going on in indigenous communities for sovereignty, for actual sovereignty, for food sovereignty, for water sovereignty, for, quality of life, and basic human rights being honored in our communities, that I think it would just continue to grow, because these are things that we can all relate to, that we've all experienced, whether it's, the racism in the big cities and the brutalization by police there, or, being profiled in the country or off the res. So I think it would be a powerful statement that we are here and we're going to continue until our basic human rights are honored.
Yeah, and so much healing is needed, not only on the individual level, but on the community level. And the earth herself needs healing. And every time that, indigenous people get moved out of an area, forced out of an area, it's all because of the resources that want to be raped or, by the psychopathic entity known as the United States government and their corporations.
Right.
And
the United Corporations of America. That's where we're at now.
United soul-sucking, life-killing corporations of America. That's it. And, the whole divide and conquer thing is really real. The way in which people experience that soul-sucking is different depending on who you are. But the thing we have to realize is that it's all the same thing. We've got the same enemy. We really, really do.
Absolutely. Or the Dalai Lama put it, we're all children of a common oppression.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the quote from him, because it reminds us of our unity in the suffering, that we're not individual suffering alone. We're individual people in communities that are connected by this common oppressor.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I would love to see this community, and I totally support the whole idea of a Black Hills resistance, a permanent camp, and all of this energy that's being put into sustainable eco-community. There's a lot of it, and there's a lot of know-how. There's a lot of really smart people that know the not only the mechanics of how to build these, put up a teepee, right? Or that know the science behind water and the broken water cycle and what we have to do to fix it. I was really impressed by the caliber of folks. You know, the overarching culture tends to think of these, you know, outcasts in a camp, you know, these rebels out there. But these are people that have master's degrees and PhDs, either in the universities or in life, with their life experience, or both.
Or both, absolutely.
Yeah. The caliber of people is impressive in those camps. So don't believe the hype about they're just freeloaders just looking for a good time, you know?
You know, I don't know about other people's definition of a good time, but, you know, under occupation in the freezing cold, sliding on the porta potties in the morning, not exactly my idea of, you know, a happy-go-lucky stroll. No, a lot of people have given up a lot to be out here, and it is definitely, you know, every day is a ceremony just to survive out here. So don't believe the hype, don't believe what you hear. There's a lot of people putting a lot of intention to being out here and just putting intention and ceremony to being upright and being, you know, viable members of camp every day. And so, you know, kudos to all the folks of all ability levels and all who are out here with chronic illness and terminal illness. I've met a few who believe that this is so important that it is worth not being hooked to dialysis. It's important to not be hooked to the chemotherapy, to just stand in resistance and stand in prayer.
Yeah, that's huge right there. It's a whole, you know, the reason that I had named my latest blog post Paradigm Shifters is because that's what's going on there in the camp too. We're shifting the paradigm, and it takes a village, right, to shift the whole paradigm of this country and this planet. And the reason why the world and the country is responding so passionately is because we all want this on some level, whether we're aware of it or not. We all want the paradigm shift. We all want to go back to real sovereignty, and life being honored, life being of the utmost importance, life being recognized as sacred, children and elders treated as children and elders. What I saw in the camp there was I saw people working to ensure that each other are taken care of. I saw the kind of compassion and caring that you only remember somewhere in your genes, or, you know, somewhere in your blood memory. It's the kind of compassion and caring that we don't normally run into in this overarching crazy culture. But we all crave it. So when you get it, even though you have to live under occupation and in the freezing cold and all, you still are so deprived of that type of existence that you still want it back. Yeah.
As a lot of folks talk about, you know, we want this black snake killed, but a lot of us are dreading the day when we might have to return back to capitalism, back to the hustle, back to, you know, the constant stress of a life outside of camp. Because as hard as it is, there's so much beauty, and there's so many good things every single day. There's blessings. The second you step out that door, sometimes it's the sunrise, sometimes it's a conversation you have with a neighbor or a stranger, you know, meeting family out here that you didn't know you had, or reconnecting with people you haven't seen. There's just, it's so good. There's so much goodness here, and it would be beautiful if this was the spark that really ignited the flame of people demanding that paradigm shift, demanding a different way of being in community and in livelihood with each other.
Let's make it happen.
Absolutely. Let's do it. Put it on the to-do list. I'm ready to check it off.
It's there. Doing. It's right there. You know, I heard something funny the day that I left, and this guy walked up, and he was scoping out the camp, and I told him he would have to either talk to you or Uŋpa to camp there, and he said, yeah, Tim from Red Warrior told me this was the place that you go to try out for Red Warrior.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
So he's like, I'm
Make
here.
it or break it. You know?
Yeah. I'm ready to get arrested. Let's do it. You know, he was all psyched. So I don't know if he came back. But.
You know, we are proud of our camps. We're proud that we're a frontline camp. our own uncles in my work on the front lines has been dampened because of these charges that are over our head. But, my goal now, I'm shifting from being on the front line to making sure there's warm food and hot tea for folks coming in from the front line, making sure the front lines at our front door, folks going out there have water, have earplugs, have whatever protection we have available to offer to go out. And, support roles are also, frontline work.
Yes.
I was given really good advice by an elder from the East Coast Two-Spirit contingency that was visiting the Two-Spirit camp. And he said, for every day that you go out on the front lines, make sure you have at least one day of intentional prayer by a fire and really reground and heal. And I thought that was really good advice for any of us, that we need to remember that there's a balance and that being on the front lines does take a toll. And, I did it consistently for almost 2 months without a break. And I guess this is Ancestors' way of making sure I get a bit of a break before I head back out again.
Yeah. Yep. And by the fire, too, is real important. We're using the fires for warmth, but the fire also is another important spiritual tool. It's not just the physical warmth of that fire, but there's something else going on there too.
It's a spiritual cleansing, and in the way I was taught, it's a cleansing. Fire brings cleansing, and it releases our prayers back up to spirit. It carries it all the way into the spirit world. So I think that is very relevant that he said specifically intentional prayer by fire.
Very good. Very good. And I was happy to play a support type of role there too, and get some interviews that I was looking to get. And not, even though the camp needs people that willing to get arrested, if you're not there, you certainly can still offer needed services and
Absolutely.
support. Yeah, for sure.
Support looks all kinds of ways, and we on camp just brought a comrade that was out in September, and she's very interested in going to the front lines, but right now we're keeping her so occupied with body work for members of camp. And, she said, even if all I'm doing is supporting folks that have been here, that's, to me, that's enough. That's good enough. But I know she's itching to go out on those front lines too. So we really do appreciate anybody who comes with whatever support they lend. We're all in this together, and a lot of us are getting weary. Some of us are legally bound now not to get involved directly or indirectly with Apple. So it's always so good when, fresh faces come in that are eager and ready to, get down and dirty, or just, wash a dish or tend a fire, or all the tasks that are needed in a day to survive and to pray and to resist and to exist out here.
Yep. It's not easy. Just making coffee in the morning takes a little bit of planning. Especially if your water's going to freeze overnight, right? Oh, shoot. Maybe she ran out of minutes. What happened? What happened, Zeph?
Hello.
Hey, did you hang up on me with your face?
I do not believe so, but a cloud moved. So, reception. Let me do the spell reception yoga pose out here. Strong warrior pose. Get the good reception.
Right, because are you at the casino?
We are actually at the good old pit stop.
Okay.
Where we can be unmolested and have a good conversation with you and your listeners.
That is...
Live from Cannonball, live from Standing Rock.
So you're inside a warm vehicle then, at least?
I am. We are indeed.
Because there's been several times where you can hear the wind and... Oh my goodness, you're standing outside, but that's good. I'm glad to hear that.
We're getting a little better about this, radio interview.
Yes.
Must-haves include no wind and a warm car.
So did you bring Miss T with you?
Unfortunately, we did not find Miss T. Miss T is out celebrating a family reunion with her elder grandparents and parents. So she has left camp, and we are eagerly awaiting T's return. So one of these days we're gonna lasso in T so she can share some
Okay. Well, she left her coat in my vehicle.
Well, that might be why she couldn't find it then. Good.
I got about halfway home and noticed that, like, there's a green jacket in here, and it has no pipelines through indigenous land painted on the back of it. So
Definitely.
I wonder whose this is. And then later I looked at Kate's video of T and her friend singing, and she's wearing the coat, and I was like, there it is. She put it in there.
There it is.
So should I send it to you? Do you think? Is she going to be back?
She is going to be back. She's going to be back this week.
Okay. So I'll send it to the Cannonball.
We'll get it. Yep, we will connect. For anybody who wants to send, it's P.O. Box 1298, Cannonball, North Dakota, 58358. I want to check the zip. Ask the Google gods. They know a little bit more. But yeah. I will brag on T a little bit, if I may.
Sure, yeah. And people are asking. I'm getting some messages about where to send donations. We were putting stuff in my PayPal, but do you guys have a PayPal yet that you want to use, or do you want like the gift cards or?
So what we've found with PayPal is that PayPal has been withholding funds from DAPL camps, from no DAPL camps. So what I've been telling everybody is that Zinkala Luzon and Leon Camp can receive donations directly in check or money order.
Okay.
Just in the memo, put to which camp, so we know how to earmark it and how to allocate it.
Okay.
And that can be sent care of Elise, E-L-I-S-E, Nordlund, N-O-R-D-L-U-N-D, to the Leon Camp with the P.O. Box 1298, Cannonball, North Dakota.
Okay, great.
That's the zip.
So yeah, we will get a check on the zip, and then also I'll include all of that information when I put this out, the recorded version of it out. So good.
We can never have too. There's no such thing as too few donations, particularly as we're still gathering firewood for the winter. That's still a big concern. Making sure you see a giant mound of firewood stacked by the lodge, and then you realize that's maybe a week if you're lucky, and nobody cooked too much. So, still struggling to get the basics met out here. So thank you to your listeners. Thank you to those who have supported. Thank you to those who continue to support. We can't do this without all y'all out there.
Thank you so much. So brag on T.
Yeah. So brag on T. T had a beautiful idea to do a candlelight vigil for all of the frontline warriors who have been wounded at actions and who have been arrested. And so through the course of a week planned out, and last Friday was actually able to pull out a beautiful candlelight vigil walk from the 7 council fires, the Oceti Sakowin horn that's been erected. They have a sacred fire there, so everybody gathered there, walked through camp all the way back to the site that was where folks got maced in the water a couple weeks back, and just how the beautiful, space holding and people laying down those prayers. Some of us were out there that had been involved in being arrested, and just, sang a song or two, and it was just simple and poignant and beautiful and powerful. And as one of those folks who have seen more than my share of assault rifles pointed at me, it felt really good to come together in that healing way.
Wonderful. I love it. And I remember when I was there, she was going around to various councils with her ideas. And so it's good to hear that it came to fruition, because it was a wonderful idea. And
it came to fruition in a powerful way.
Yeah. And hey, are we back? Are we back on here? Looks like we are. Yeah. Okay, we're back.
Yay!
Woohoo! Wow, that was weird. That was weird. Maybe some buttons needed to be pushed, or who knows? It's very windy back here. We lost our power, and so it might be windy down where the studio's at as well. It's kind of in the same Appalachian corridor of windiness. So glad
everybody's fighting the elements these days.
Yeah. And the cough. You can hear camp cough in the background there. But that coldies stuff really helped me out. So I've been able to get back to work and
good.
Back into the swing of things pretty well. My worst time is when I get up in the morning. That's when I have my coughing fits.
Mm-hmm. You can hear it. We used to hear the prayer song in the morning. Now it's the hack across the way that lets you know it's morning time and time to get up, and just kind of starts like an audio wave. You can. So, yep, cost 30. Everybody get up. Here we go. Kick the bow.
So it's every day starts out with being told to get up, right? You're here for a reason. Mm-hmm. And then the Four Directions song starts, and that's a prayer song. That's a indicator of ceremony beginning. So every day people are reminded this whole experience is ceremony for you and for us. And so that's interesting. And maybe it's a go ahead.
Beautiful reminder every day of why we're here. And in my Southern traditions, we believe that our footsteps are prayers that we put on Grandmother Earth. And so being very intentional. And so something about waking up and hearing those prayer songs, and before I even start walking, already putting myself in that ceremonial way so that when I do take those steps, I can have it in my mind and in my spirit and my heart, to be asking permission of the ancestors and spirits on whose land I'm walking, to be asking for guidance and help, to be sending that love and that healing back to ancient Grandmother Earth, whose bellies we all tread upon. It's a beautiful way to go throughout a day.
It is. And, I expected myself to sing more, but there was so much singing going on that I just never got to it. I just was listening to others singing. And it's good to see that powwow energy being used for ceremony and for this paradigm shift. It's a very interesting evolution to see, and the evolution of the commitment to nonviolence as well. So putting those two things together, and I think really we owe I don't know more of that evolution, that particular using the powwow spirit to bring attention to this call for eco-justice, water sovereignty. Yeah.
We owe a lot. I'm very grateful for all those grandmothers. I can see it now, the further out we're going, I can kind of see this arc of how bit by bit we were putting those seeds in the ground to blossom into this full-on movement that is growing, and is growing, across Turtle Island and really across the globe, because water issues and sovereignty are not just, to hear indigenous cultures and indigenous nations all across the world are dealing with this very same thing. And I think it's a very powerful way that we can all remember how interwoven and interconnected we are, and once again to get that solidarity and support. Off the top of my head, I can just think of a handful of places that are also fighting pipelines or tankers or railroads hauling the tar sands, or water being stolen by Nestle Corporation and others. So this water fight is not just to hear. This is a water fight that many people have been waging for a while, and it looks like we will be continuing to wage until people can understand that the water is sacred, that water is life, and that you don't get to put a price tag on a resource just because it's there, and just because you have a patent, or just because you can.
We won't let you. And we won't let you build internment camps either. We will tear them down with our bare hands. All of those things are unacceptable. And all of these announcements that are coming out about this, we're about to take 50 years and just flush them down the toilet. 50 years of progress and flush it down the toilet. I will not accept that at all.
Absolutely.
And it's beyond me how anyone could be fooled to think that a billionaire could ever be on their side. on anyone else's side but their own. Because in order to
Absolutely.
become a billionaire, you have to become a billionaire on the backs of starving people. There's no other way.
Stolen land, stolen resources, and stolen labor. That is how you amass such a wealth.
Yep.
And that already kind of typifies a lot of problems, and yet here we are going to see our first billionaire reality TV star president. None of that kind of bodes well for any of us who are fighting for even just the basics under a semi agreeable presidency. So things are going to be changing, and I think it's true that we really need to think about this camp and the next steps, especially after January 20th. It's going to have an impact on us. It's going to have an impact all across the country, but specifically given some of the comments that have started filtering out about, the president incumbent's ideas about us and our encampment or the DAPL pipeline. All of that it worries me. And it feels like there's a cloud getting ready. The storm clouds are gathering on the horizon.
Yeah.
And I think that's, something very real we're going to have to face here not too soon, or not too far away, very soon.
Well, we'll be praying all over the world for everything to work out as best it can.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We need those prayers. We need those prayers. We need that healing. No matter who's sitting in that presidency, we need a lot of healing here. Yeah. And I think this pipeline is just another indicator of how sick our culture has become, how twisted to the profits of profit it has been allowed to be. And so, yeah, I think, prayer is a beautiful first step. And I will keep saying, for folks who want to support, there was a National Day of Action, National Day of Prayer, and I got to see my relatives in Olympia, Washington, shutting down a train track that was going to be sending out some of the drill equipment. And I got to see some of my relatives and homies back in Oakland and the Bay Area shutting down Market Street in San Francisco and shutting down one of the major funding banks and doing a hard lockdown and stopping business as usual. And I would definitely encourage anyone who is listening, if you have connections to any of the banks that are funding divest, put that economic pressure, tell them why you're taking your money out, and let them know that this is unacceptable, that human rights violations are never a way to make money.
Yep. And the thing that I see is that they're so used to being enabled in their sins that to encounter people saying no it's it's almost like a narcissistic injury. They just freak out, because they're allowed to, they're allowed to do this. They've been doing it for how long? And to finally get that no more is quite an affront for them. And so that's what the violence is all about. They're just so mad at not being able to be enabled like they have been this whole time, and just run right over native sovereignty to do it. So the consultation that's going to now happen with the tribe, it's a little late for that.
This is basically building the manual of what not to do.
Yeah.
To have a nation-to-nation consultation with things that are going to affect, the water of 18 million people. This is absolutely a case study of everything you do not do.
Right.
But I believe that out of this, we are actually going to get positive change, and, people are going to stop and consider in the boardrooms and in, the CFOs maybe have to take a pause next time and think about this a little bit more next time they want to run over indigenous lands and waters and sovereignties.
Yep.
And if that happens, then, we've done some good. And, ultimately the goal is for us to enact our sovereignty. You can't ask.
Are you still here? Yeah, crap. Okay.
And we're back live from Cannonball.
Oh, excellent. Okay. Yeah, so I've been getting a bunch of messages, so I was trying to get to Majikia's messages that he posted the camp donation information on the camp page, the Zinkala
Okay.
and Weon camp page. So if it needs any edits, we'll do that too. And before you go, maybe just text me. I know the PO box, but you said, what did you say? A check.
The zip code is check or money order. Yeah.
Check our money order to Elise.
Weon camp. Yep.
Okay, and then put in the note about whether it goes to Weon or Zinkala camp.
Yep.
And you check the zip code?
I have not because
Okay.
the Google gods don't like me out here.
Well, that's
I'm pretty sure it's 58358, but
Okay.
it might be 58538. I'm dyslexic, folks. I'm a frontliner, but I have dyslexia. You know, we can't
Yeah.
all be perfect out here.
But the PO box is very clearly right on the page. So we've had a couple of promises of bringing long underwear and things like that. So hopefully we'll get those supplies in because they will be needed, especially if we do get the snow that they're calling for.
We lucked out. We got a little bit of flurry last night. It was about 16 degrees. We're definitely starting to get just a little taste. I was like, man, it's cold, and it's not even anywhere near what cold's going to be like next month. So
Yeah.
we're getting ready. I'm already mentally preparing for living in an ice box
Yep.
for the next little while.
Hey, are you mentally prepared for the Jane Fonda meal? She's gonna serve up some Thanksgiving to y'all.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, really? I did not know that. Oh, wow. Things
I just-
see, you source of news, things I didn't know.
I just saw that today. I was like, right on. You guys are gonna get you some Jane Fonda food. That'll be
Jane
special.
Fonda food. You know, I've been struggling because I've seen so many, non-natives saying they want to come and cook Thanksgiving dinner for us natives up here. And I didn't know how to feel about it. I was a little salty, not going to lie. I was a little feeling some kind of way about it. And I thought about it, and I was like, well, actually, if history is any proof, those who make and serve the food lose the land. So, maybe this is working in a way we need it to go.
Yeah,
Maybe this is the first step in undoing some historical injustice.
I think it is.
It's a good healing moment anyway, if nothing else. So.
And y'all have another concert coming your way too. See?
That's what I hear. I heard that Body Rate was here. I missed Body Rate going to Bismarck, but I hear there's another big concert getting ready to happen too. So it's really good to see some of the musically inclined celebrities.
I came at a time when there were no concerts. Like, how does that?
It's odd because we just kind of, when you go up to the casino for Wi-Fi or to get a meal, and that's how you find out about it in camp. It feels so isolated just to the task and to the prayers and ceremonies at hand that sometimes even 10 minutes down the road you don't know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's definitely very real out here. It's kind of like stepping into another realm, and it's a beautiful realm. But occasionally you miss awesome stuff like Bonnie Raitt.
Yes, I love her. And Jackson Browne, too, I think was there, too. So.
Yep, that was the two.
But you didn't.
You can tell which one I was more excited.
You did. Well, yeah.
Really excited
awesome.
to hear her give them something to talk about.
Yep.
Like, next time.
But you did not miss the Indigo Girls, though. You saw that one. That was.
I did.
Awesome.
I even got the chance to introduce myself and let them know, a little briefly who I was while I was here, and give them a backstory that their music was really what kept me going as a emerging baby queer in the middle of Lynchburg, Virginia, home of Jerry Falwell. So
wow.
That felt good to be able to just say, hey, thanks for saving my life when I was a teenager. That was one of those camp moments that I will definitely remember.
Wicked cool. I didn't know you were in Lynchburg, Virginia. I'm sorry.
That's where I came of age as a teenager, yes, from the age of 12 to 18, and it was not easy being me, being all of me, and kind of having to hide and having to push through and find the way. And thankfully my ancestors didn't let me down. They always kept me in touch with people who saw me and gave me the mentorship I needed to not completely isolate and lose my mind out there.
Yeah, wow. Wow. It's similar here in Winchester, Virginia area.
I know Winchester. Say hi to Winchester for me.
Winchester, yeah. There's a lot of Confederate flag waving individuals around these parts.
I haven't forgotten that. I've been out of there for nigh on 18 years. I still remember a lot of that. Yep.
So I have a good story regarding Confederate flags and Virginia. So we're driving down the street, and it's one of those really hot days. Everybody's got their windows down, and we roll up to this redneck guy in his big truck, and on the back he has one of those Confederate flags that's like the window decal that you can see out but you can't see in. And so we pull up, and Majiki is on the passenger side, and he's got his window rolled down, and the redneck dude is is driving, and he's got his window rolled down, and Majiki says to him, "I really like your Confederate flag," and he's like, "Oh, really?" And he's like, "Yeah." He goes, "You Confederates are just like us Indians." He's like, "Well, how's that?" He said, "You're a conquered people, but you still wave your flag high." And then he's like, "Never give up." And he like puts his fist in the air, and we take off, and the guy just sat there at the green light, just dumbfounded. And it was an awesome moment.
In the drag world, we call that "I'm gagged." You gagged that Confederate. Yep. When there's nothing else to say.
Yeah.
That is a beautiful moment. Thanks for that story. I'm going to use that one when I need a little uplift.
Oh, I love it. Love it, love it. I've always wanted to make like a 1491 style type video, and maybe have like Tito Ybarra be the redneck guy. And he plays a really good redneck, that Tito guy does.
I believe it. We are blessed to have Tito's presence at camp and have that laughing medicine, because, a wise man once told me, in life, in the bad times, there's two options. You can cry or you can laugh, and if you laugh, at least usually people around you are also happy to share in the experience, and you can get through it together. So.
Yep, that's what we need.
Yep.
It is what we need in order to get over ourselves. But you spoke earlier about the trauma, the trauma that's very, very real. And, Uŋpa talked about all of the things that we need to heal in order to move forward. And when you look at underneath it all, like, trauma is really sort of the base of it. The alcoholism, the continuing to eat crap, even when you don't have to, that kind of, all of that, the lifestyle type stuff. It's not just, it's a matter of training yourself to feel like you're worthy of, like, taking the very best care of yourself that you can. And it all goes back to that trauma. So those healers that are there, even though it might look like they're just doctoring sort of the outside, I think a lot of those healers that are there are doctoring that trauma as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll share with you, when I was at the medic tent, a medicine man very gently kind of offered his services and said he was a spiritual and kind of an emotional healer. And he told me, that I'm having physical symptoms, but some of it might actually be emotional or spiritual. And, in my way, that rang true. And, he brought that laughing medicine instantly. I was in so much pain. I was kind of writhing around, and they were asking me, well, do you want Eastern, Western, and I was like, I will lick a frog if it will stop the pain. Right. And he very quietly leaned over and it's like, hi, my name's Frog, but you don't have to lick me, and just got me to laughing in that moment, and just, started interrupting that pain. And he worked on me, and the wisest, advice I got from him, he said, we all have gone through trauma. We're all carrying scars, but scars can heal. And just go ahead and cry. It's okay to cry. It's okay to release it. It's okay to heal by releasing and just letting your body and your spirit cleanse how it needs to. And he's like, it doesn't have to be right now. but just remember that it's okay to be human and cry too, and that that's power. And I appreciated those words in that moment. I needed to hear it. I needed that reminder.
Yeah. Yeah. And we try to, we have this fear of crying, like if I start crying, like I'm not going to stop.
Right.
That's real sometimes, especially the type of crying that is connected to your traumas and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I say if it's coming up, that's the time to deal with it.
Absolutely.
You don't have to like intentionally bring that stuff up and to deal with it. But if it's coming up, then it's your time.
Then that's the time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, it's just a powerful affirmation that you can be a warrior and have emotions. And I think that's something that really needs to be, we're fighting these very old patriarchal and really limiting Christianized ideas about, holding it in and this and that and the other and, stiff upper lip and, just to remember that, it's okay to be a warrior and to be human. It's okay to be a warrior and have emotional vulnerability as strength. It's not a weakness. It is part of our strength.
Mm-hmm. I learned a lot about myself. I had been told I had complex post-traumatic stress disorder, so PTSD,
right.
which is what you get if you've been narcissistically or psychopathically abused, or if you've gone through like emotional abuse.
Right.
And it comes like your triggers come out more with like interpersonal, interaction. Right. And so I learned about one of my triggers, which is that when somebody is intentionally dehumanizing me, that's when I flip. That is when I just lose it.
Right.
So I'm going to try not to get into that situation again. And it came out with like the towel issue. Like I just lost my mind. But it was really that intentional, like I have a need, you can fill it for me. You should be filling that need for me, but you won't because whatever. Because I am who I am. A water protector person, a camp person. Yeah, so it's weird how much you can learn about yourself just from weird little situations like that. But
this is a crucible.
Yeah.
And being in camp, I've put as an analogy, it's crucible, and all those things that you don't need, it gets burned off. All that dross, all those impurities. It's a mirror, and it's an experience that changes. And I don't know anybody who's been out here, whether it's a weekend, whether it's a week or a month, or from the beginning, we've all been changed in powerful ways, and we've all been, shown a part of ourselves that we would probably not see if we were all back, and hustling for housing and food and all those things that we do outside of here. So I'm very grateful. I feel very blessed.
Yes, I do too. Because it's that actually powers my passion, to help others. So I lost my shame about it too, and I hope I don't find it again. And I could laugh at myself too about it. Like I was like, I'm a human being.
Right. So true.
Yeah. Like what's going on here? There's something that's not about the towel. Yeah, so it's good. And I can't be any more thankful than I am that I was invited, that I was welcome, and that I got the opportunity to actually go. And the support that came from my family, and it's just incredible. And my friends, and amazing. Every member of my family that I told about going supported me. Everyone.
That is such a beautiful story.
Yeah. So, we have a couple more minutes. Any last thoughts or messages to the audience?
Just continued gratitude. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for caring about this enough to tune in and take out 2 hours out of your day to listen to our anecdotes and stories and updates. And thank you for the support and for all the prayers and blessings and good intentions and thoughts. We feel them. We really do out here. And we would not be able to continue to do what we do without all of that love. So thank you.
Right on. And would you like people to put messages on the winter camp fund page if they can't
We
get to...
always love, any little message of support. A lot of times if I don't have internet, I screenshot them and take them back to camp and read them to camp. Also, if folks want to put up, messages for the youth counselors from the other camps that are doing, I'd definitely like to share those around.
Yeah.
We all need encouragement out here. Sometimes it's hard in the cold, in the wet, in the hunger to not feel a little disconnected, and any message of support, it really goes a long way to keeping us going and keeping our spirits up.
So you heard it here. Your messages are appreciated, your prayers are appreciated, and go a long way. So keep them up, and maybe I'll see you in the Black Hills.
There we go.
Spring.
That's a good dream. Let's keep dreaming that into existence.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Zephyr. Hugs, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you. So much love. Thank you, everybody.